I am literally just a random bald asshole on the internet.
My name is Jeff.
I'm finally going to talk about the Marvel movie industrial complex, and I avoided making this video for a long time because for the most part, I do think you should let people enjoy things. But I told somebody I'm not going to...
You should. I mean, okay, here's the thing. Here's the whole hot take on, let people enjoy things. First off, yes, people should be able to, as long as it's not harming people around them. I'm not even going to go as far as to say harming themselves. Like, look, it's your life, it's your body. If you want to do something that harms you and your body consensually, I personally, honestly, I don't feel like I have the room to step into that. But like, if you enjoy something and it's not harming anyone around you, I at the end of the day, I can't take any issue with it. And I don't think that you should be stopped or not able to enjoy whatever that thing may be, right? That's my personal take. Flip side of that, you should be able to enjoy something just as you're equally able to enjoy something. I should be able to criticize whatever that thing is. And I think in certain scenarios and for certain things, criticize maybe why you might be into that thing. That's not saying that you're not allowed to continue liking that thing, or I'm saying that you need to be stopped. And also, if me criticizing it or you for your enjoyment, if that is enough to stop you from enjoying whatever that thing is, then I don't think you really feel secure enough in enjoying that thing to begin with. Again, I always want to preface this with this. I am literally just a random bald asshole on the internet. If my opinion of something is enough to hinder your enjoyment of something or how you feel about a thing, you're already lost. Like, that's 100% on you to begin with. Here's kind of where I think, and he might be getting into this, this is kind of where I think the whole Marvel thing comes into it. Yes, comic book movies are great. I keep up with them just as much as the next guy does. I don't really want to say I care about them at the end of the day, but I watch them. I go to see them, and I'm not, not that they shouldn't exist and people shouldn't enjoy them, and some of them are pretty good and this and yada, yada, yada. But yes, it did get to a point where, okay, well, now it seems like we're only allowed to make these kinds of movies and make these things. And it feels like there is definitely a certain sect of people that when you bring up like, hey, it kind of feels like this is bad for the art form in general, that like, this one genre or set of movies is like setting this precedent and completely like monopolizing the entire industry. That might be bad. And people come back with like, oh, let people enjoy things. I'm like, I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying, hey, maybe it's not good that these are the only fucking movies that can get made. Maybe that's not a great thing. Maybe it's not the greatest thing that like there are like actual real, original, independent, good, boundary pushing, all these things, movies being made every day and every year. But these theater chains, most of like theater chains and, independent movie theaters, it's not so much, but it's still so much there. But all these theater chains are like contractually beholden to like be in this constant state of like, well, you need to keep half of your theaters open for 6 months period, at least at any given time for any fucking superhero movie that comes out. And then you wonder why there's no original movies or why is there anything but comic book movies being come out now. They are coming out. They're not coming to the theater. They're getting dumped somewhere onto a random streaming site or for like rent on Amazon. And they're not able to play at the movie theaters because half of these fucking theaters are like, sorry, fucking Iron Man 6 is, contracted to 80% of our theaters for the next 4 months. So sorry, we can't squeak you in. That's another big thing that people talk about when they don't talk about when we get into this conversation. I think a lot of people don't know kind of the politics and the mechanics of like movie theaters and how like screenings and all that things works. And yeah, that's another problem. So anyway, enough of me yapping. Let's see what this guy's got to say.
To see the new Fantastic Four movie and they got mad at me. They said, this one's good. I promise I won't think so. I promise I won't. And to me, avoiding watching something because other people love it and I know I'm not going to, that's letting people enjoy things. And that brings us to the first group of people I'd like to critique in this overall series, the fans. Hey, you guys are really mean. Like, you're really fucking mean.
Yeah.
Do you guys realize that you've created an environment where even just not engaging with the movies that you like is seen as an act of hostility? And that
I think that leads to this bigger conversation of something that I think we're dealing with as a whole now is... I think, I don't know what the flip of the switch was or exactly what happened, but I think we have reached this point where so many people now link their morality and their, values and whatever you want to call it is now linked so heavily to media, to the media that they consume or they're a fan of or anything like that. And so when you come in and you just say like, you know what, I didn't particularly like that movie or this singer or this whatever, they don't view it as just a slight against their taste. These people legitimately view it as a slight against them and their values and their morals and what they stand for. You don't just dislike this movie, you disagree with my morals and my stances and my beliefs. There are people out there whose minds legitimately work like that. Media and morals are so intertwined for them that they cannot separate the two. So you saying that you're just not a fan of this thing, I mean, you might as well have just shot him in the head. That's, I mean, in their mind, essentially.
Even that would be fine, but if people give honest reviews of how they actually felt about these movies, you guys freak out.
Yeah.
I saw somebody give a Fantastic Four a bad review, and I thought surely the comment section will be reasonable. The comment section was full of threats, slurs, and doxing. Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah.
The response is always the same.
Dude, some of the meanest fucking people, some of the biggest bullies you will ever meet in your life are the biggest fucking nerds that walk among us. Some of the biggest dorks are the biggest bullies that you will ever meet. And it goes back to, like, do you guys remember there was an episode of 30 Rock where Liz Lemon was having her high school reunion and she's like, I don't want to go back. I was such a nerd. I was such a loser. Everybody hated me. I was so unpopular because I was such a nerd and everybody hated me. And then she goes back to her reunion and everybody was like, you were a nightmare. You were like horribly mean. You were like terrible to all of us. There were certain people she traumatized, you know, whatever. And it's because sometimes people are losers and don't have friends and are outcast or whatever because they're legitimately shitty, mean, weird people to be around. Sometimes the popular kid is popular because he's actually cool to be around and nice and a fun hang. Was that ever a possibility? Did that ever cross your mind? Hey, maybe this dude's popular because he's a good dude. Maybe I'm a loser nerd that nobody wants to hang around with because I'm a fucking piece of shit and mean because I'm bitter. Was that ever a possibility? No. Some of the shittiest fucking meanest people you will ever meet in your life was not the jock in the varsity jacket. It was the dude Naruto running down the halls in school. Nobody wanted to be my friend. Dude, you were mean and you hissed at people.
Always, you don't know how to have fun. You take everything too seriously. You only watch black and white movies from Czechoslovakia that are 7 hours long about a cat learning how to read.
Yeah.
First of all, that sounds like an awesome movie. And also, second, what happened to let people enjoy things? I really like the movie Skinamarink. I've seen the movie 8 times. I highly enjoy it. And a lot of you guys are going to hear that and say, that's not my thing. But some of you guys are going to hear it and think that I'm pretending to like it for some kind of intellectual clout, even though I just really enjoy the movie.
Yo, I'm going to stop here right here. I loved Skinamarink, and I am so grateful. I'm so happy that I got to see Skinamarink in a theater because that is a movie to experience in a theater. The movie, sure, it has a plot. It has a loose story. Yes, that is not the reason to watch this movie. Skinamarink, first off, was made for nothing. That movie was made for like $5 in a dude's parents' home, right, up in Canada. Skinamarink, I watched it. That movie legitimately did things with camera work and lighting and especially like lighting, how they used lighting to like set the scene and like cause fear or whatever. That movie did things with the technical aspect of filmmaking that I think have never been done before, that I think were so crazy original and inventive. And again, made for no money. This movie was made for pennies. And it does things with camera and lights that I have never seen done before. That to me was the beauty of Skinamarink. And that's why I think if you love film, watch Skinamarink. It's not for the story. It's not for the plot. It's not for the character. It's not for anything. That movie is pure just technical genius and vibes. And it's a great watch. I'm so happy that I got to see Skinamarink in theaters. What an awesome movie.
I think I'm better than anybody for liking that movie, by the way, but if you don't believe that I like it, then I do think I'm better than you, because apparently only one of us has the capacity to understand that people have different preferences and enjoy different things,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing, and it's not a threat to the stuff that I like. And you'll do all this, and then you have the audacity to act like victims when people don't like these movies. Hey, you guys make up the fan base for the largest media property in history.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not
Yeah, that's another that was another way that like the tables turned, is like the nerds won. Like culturally, nerds won. Hamilton is the biggest fucking thing ever to exist. And it's basically Homework the musical. Do you guys remember those posters in English class of William Shakespeare wearing those stunner shades? And it's just like, learning is cool. That Hamilton, the musical, is just that poster coming to life. That's all it is. The nerds won. Hamilton is huge. Every movie is a fucking superhero thing. Everything. The nerds won culturally. We have to acknowledge that at a certain point. There has been a shift in the power dynamic. The nerds culturally won. They now control everything. Tech bros. Tech bros own everything. Everything from fucking restaurants to a hardware store, whatever, always comes linked back being bought by some tech company. Everything is owned by tech bros. Every movie is a Marvel film. Every fucking, Hamilton, again, is like, Homework the musical is the biggest thing in the world. The nerds won culturally. But they still have this weird thing where they have to act like they didn't. Where they still act like they're getting shoved in the locker every day. Even it's like, dude, you're 40 and you're the boss. You are like the head manager at whatever, the IT company that you landed a decent job with out of school. Whatever. Like, you won, and you still have to like weirdly walk around with this chip on your shoulder like you didn't. And it's the weirdest thing to me. I like, nobody can just let middle school go. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm sorry that I'm sorry that you got picked on in 6th grade, but who fucking didn't? People who can't let shit like that go. It's like, oh, I can't. I was such a fucking loser in 7th grade. Yeah, of course you were, dude. You were in 7th grade. Everybody in 7th grade was a loser. That was the point of 7th grade. Even the coolest kid in 7th grade was a fucking loser because he's a 7th grader. I got picked on. People were weird to me. People were mean. Yes, that's called being 12. We all went through it. Every single one of us, maybe some of us worse than others. Obviously, there is nuance to this conversation, but like, it was 6th grade. You got to let it go. At a certain point, you just got to like let it go and move on. And also realize that like most of those people who made, your middle school, high school life hell or whatever are like now on their 3rd divorce with their 4th baby, who neither of the dads come to see. Like again, like, you won. You won. They came out on top, but there is this weird sense, this weird feeling where it's like it can't be acknowledged or like spoken of. And there's still this weird persecution thing that I don't know.
Victims, I promise you. And if you want people to stop calling these movies baby movies, stop acting like babies when people don't like them.
Yeah.
Okay, now that the fans have been properly chastised, I'm sure they'll respond well to that. Let's get into the content of the films. And I do say content with a capital C and 2 quotes around it because that's what this is. Even some of the fans are going to nod along at this because even the fans, I think, are critical of and aware of the fact that this is really nothing but a content churn at this point.
Yeah.
You put the exact same formulaic structure for the movie on one side of a conveyor belt and it moves through this place that copy and pastes brand new superheroes into the exact same outline for a story, and then the other side, you get the product.
Yeah, no. I mean, that's kind of one of my things. Honestly, it's not even just Marvel movies at this point. It's kind of movies in general, but Marvel definitely being like the best example of this. Every Marvel movie is kind of the same, like superheroes. Superhero have problems. Superhero have to go on journey to solve problem. Superhero almost don't solve problem, but oh, look at that last minute. Superheroes solve problem. And end of story. That's every single Marvel movie. You know how every single one is going to end. Of course they're going to find a way to win and figure this out. It's fucking Iron Man. It's, fucking Thor. It's whatever. Of course they're going to win. They have to be in the next movie. There's no stakes. There's no gravity in any of it. Even when you point to something like Infinity War, when Thanos snapped and half the fucking universe went away, and with it half of the heroes with Marvel, even that, there was this whole sense of like, okay, well, I mean, they're going to come back. Like, we know that there's a movie after this, and then tons of movies to be made with these characters after that movie. So, I mean, yeah, of course there's going to be some way that they come back. Why would it, like, you know how it ends. Even when you have this big bad ending of half the universe is gone, it leaves with this sense of like, okay, well, they're going to be back in the next movie. That's just how it goes. There is no stakes in any of this. It doesn't matter. You can make this whole big world building thing with all these characters and they can be fun and this and that and that. But at the end of the day, you know how every single one is going to end. And there's absolutely nothing at stake with any of them. So it kind of gets to this point where it's like, why are we here? Like, this feels less like a movie. Like, I understand what Martin Scorsese said when he talked about these, where he's like, it's more of an amusement ride than a movie. And there's nothing wrong with amusement rides. And there's, somebody described Deadpool versus Wolverine, which is a movie I enjoyed, by the way. I had fun when I saw that movie. They described Deadpool versus Wolverine as a movie that was essentially just the smashing of two action figures together. And I think that's an accurate way to describe that movie. And again, I'm saying this as somebody who enjoyed watching it. I think I went and saw it again because a buddy just wanted to, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll go see that again. I'm not saying there's not room for action figure smashing style movies in the world of cinema. There's room for that. I think those things should be allowed to exist, and I enjoy those things every now and then. The problem is, and the point that he's getting to, the problem comes when it is now every single movie is just two action figures smashing together. This is when we start to get into an issue, and it's a very real issue that's been playing out in front of us for years.
It's basically just the same exact story with a different paint job over and over and over again. And that's fine. Comfort media is important. People like to watch YouTube. Even as comfort media, I don't think it works, and that's because of the escalating stakes and standards that were established by Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame.
Right.
Those are the two highest grossing movies in history or something. I understand why they'd want to recreate that level of event every time they release a movie.
Right.
But it becomes desensitizing every time we're promised, like, the next big bad guy, you know? And in this new Fantastic Four movie, I guess Galactus is in it. And I haven't seen the movie, but I'm guessing he doesn't kill all of them.
Yeah, and here's my other thing with Galactus. Galactus, again, I am not a comic book nerd. I don't know the intricacies of this. Somebody out there can, autistically scream it how I'm wrong about this in the comments, and that's fine. But to me, like, I look at something like Galactus, and it's like, this guy is like this ancient being, and like, he eats worlds. He is bigger than the universe, and he like consumes planets literally to live. And you threw him away on one movie? Doesn't this guy kind of feel like he should be a big bad for like something? I mean, maybe even something like, Infinity War Endgame type level. This dude eats planets. He's an ancient being. Like, I do know this about him. Whereas, like, in the Marvel Universe, there's a ton of multiverses. So there's a million different Thors. There's a million different Captain Marvels and Iron Mans. There is only one Galactus. He is one of one, and that's it. If you see one, that is the only one. I mean, and again, like, you threw him away in one movie? I just felt like again, not a comic book nerd. Maybe I'm wrong. But just from an outsider perspective, I look at a character like that and I'm like, shouldn't he be like a Thanos type, like big bad? And like, he's just kind of like here and gone in the Fantastic Four movie. Like, they kind of just shoved him into a hole and they won. Oh, okay. Seems like the guy who literally eats planets might be a little bit, he got taken out by being shoved in a hole? What? Okay.
I don't know if you guys know this, but in the comics, if Galactus shows up, people are gonna die. As a result of the constant promise that this new bad guy is gonna be as bad as Thanos, I think I'm genuinely becoming desensitized to the concept of a universal threat. And that's bad for your movie. Number one, it's not comfort media, because you're not going into it thinking it's comfortable. You're going into it thinking that it's gonna be this giant event.
Yeah.
And number two, it never is.
No.
It feels like all the characters are just kind of disposable in the larger scheme of the overall Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, and I think something like the multiverse only makes that worse, because now there's this all like, oh, well, he died in this. Well, there's a million other ones. Yeah, the multiverse, dude. There's a million Black Panthers. Let's just go get another one. Yeah, fuck it.
That's it. Also, this video is too long, so I'm probably going to post a part 2 at some point, but TikTok won't let me add any more clips, so whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean,
finally gonna
this
talk
is all
about that
valid. That's everything that he said, I mean, is valid. And we're reaching the point, and yeah, we're reaching that point where they are starting to lose money. And as he just said, that's really, at the end of the day, all these guys care about. I mean, these, you understand, these movies used to be automatic billion-dollar machines. You could churn one of these out, and it was a guaranteed $1 million. And then there was the Marvels. I'm going to look right now. How much did the Marvels lose? Like, the Marvels, is it possible? I think it was the biggest flop in all of movie history. I think with like financial wise, I think it lost the most money. Okay. So budget was about 370 million gross, 307 million net. It made 200 million. Now, rule of thumb, anytime you're talking about stuff like this, double the budget, and that's about what a movie has to make to break even. That includes the split that they take with the theaters, that includes advertising cost and everything that goes with it. So a movie made for 300 to close to 400 million dollars needs to gross 600 to 700 million dollars just to break even. That's not turn a profit. Just to break even, this movie needed to gross around $600 million. Puck News reported that the film needed to earn around $700 million to become profitable. Deadline Hollywood calculated the net losses of the film to be $237 million when factoring together expenses and revenues. So this movie, one movie alone, lost Marvel, Disney, $237 million. That's got to be the biggest. I mean, right? That has to be the biggest flop financially. That has to be. Holy hell. But yeah, they're reaching that point. They're at that point where like these movies are not a guaranteed $1 billion anymore. You cannot just pump out another Thor movie and get $1 billion. Not only are you not guaranteed $1 billion, you might actually lose money on these now. And that's what they're seeing. They're starting to lose money on these. And I mean, yeah, I think that's the only point where the tide starts to change with the superhero movies, with any of these things. At the end of the day, this has always kind of been one of my things when people talk about stuff like this, where it's like Hollywood just feeds us slop. They just give us slop. They just get whatever. Do you understand that the reason that these movies are being pumped out at the level that they're pumped out, the reason that we're in this market that we're in right now is because, again, they used to be automatic billion-dollar machines. Every single Marvel movie that just came out was just like an automatic hundreds of millions to billions of dollars of profit. Because we did it. They feed us what we want. You can, when you complain about like why they're being pumped out, why this is left and right, why it's dominating the market, it's dominating the market because they used to make shit ton of money and they still do. It's just not guaranteed anymore. These movies are still making a shit ton of money. To a certain point, they're kind of the only movies making real profit in the box office. So that's why they're everywhere. We can only yell at the system and studios and all this and say they're pushing out slop so much. The second that art films start making profits on the level of this, you will never see another superhero movie again. As he said, these people only care about money. These make a shit ton of money. Therefore, they're going to pump out as many as possible. I don't know how to spell it out any easier for you. So you can yell at the studios and the systems all day, all you want. At the end of the day, it kind of falls on the consumer, more or less. They're not going to they only put out what makes money. So, I mean, it sounds kind of victim blaming, and in most scenarios, you can point back to like a systemic thing. And don't be wrong, there are systemic elements at play here, but, buddy, if these movies weren't making money, they wouldn't be making them. So, you kind of have to yell at your neighbor about this. I mean, at a certain point, really, at the end of the day, that's kind of how it goes. Like,